welcome to the Multi-Association International Webinar. This is hosted by both NASBAR, NICAR, Main Street, as well as some other associations that participate in the planning and putting together a networking group. And every month we try to have a connection, whether it be through webinar or live. So most of them are webinars because we're bringing commercial practitioners from all over the world to talk about hot topics in commercial real estate while highlighting their countries. So I say most of them are webinars. The next month we will be in France. So I hope that those of you who are attending MIPIM will see us there in the NAR booths. Just a couple notes that this session, of course, is recorded, and that we asked during the presentation anyone who's not presenting to have their cameras off as well as be muted. If not, someone who's helping behind the scenes, they will probably be muting or taking your camera off if you've since forgotten. We will use the chat. I encourage everyone to put their contact information in the chat. They could put whatever listings, anything you want in there, and then at the end we can save that chat. But we will go through the presentations. We'll have a Q&A, and during the Q&A section, you can either put it in the chat, send a note to me, or you could just raise your hands and we'll call you. So that the presentations and Q&A take about an hour, and then we add an additional half an hour for those who could stay on for the networking session, and that is not recorded. All of these recordings are on our NICAR site, our CGBN site, as well as our NICAR YouTube. So we have a lot of great past presentations. We've been all over the world. We've had presenters from Japan, South Africa, Nigeria, the Planned City in Latin America, Mexico, Canada. So there's a lot of good information. So you could always see those webinars. And then I also highly encourage, if you are practicing commercial real estate on a regular basis, especially in the US, to go to our first webinar of the year, where we talked about commercial real estate trends in in many of the gateway cities of the US. And that was by Brandon Speck. So that recording is one that I think is definitely worth revisiting if you hadn't. I guess if you have any additional questions while during presentation, whether it's for me or the presenter, feel free. I will be looking at the chat section the best I can. And I want to give a lot of thanks to David, who helped facilitate making this webinar happen. And he will give a little bit of background. He's a global coordinator for NAR, among many other attributes. He's also an amazing personal assistant now. Except my friend Ahmed just took off to South Africa and is gallivanting all over Africa at the moment. So David, I would love for you to kind of give a little bit of overview of, you as global coordinator, the Caribbean, and then introduce our presenters.
Thank you. It's good to be here with everybody this morning. I will try to keep this somewhat short. As Teresa mentioned, I'm the global coordinator for NAR for North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. This is my third year in that position. I've been working as a volunteer with NAR Global for 8 or 9 years. I think this is my 9th year. And I started out with Jamaica many years ago as a president's liaison, and then as the program evolved a little bit and we became a little more regional instead of specific countries, I became the global ambassador for Bermuda, Bahamas, Jamaica, and Dominican Republic. And so I worked with them a couple of years, and then these last 3 years I've been a global coordinator. So just kind of a quick overview of the NAR program, if you're not aware of it. We have relationships with, I think it's 74 countries right now, around 104, 105 real estate associations that we have bilateral partners with around the world. We have it organized in 5 different regions. So there's a global coordinator for each of those regions. And our goal is to try to make global real estate available for all of our members. And when I say our members, I mean our members nationwide, worldwide, not just within the United States. We have a number of international members around the world, and there are a lot of fantastic professionals. We're lucky to have several of those with us today who will be presenting about their countries. My region involves 14 countries. All of Latin America, I'm sorry, not Latin America, all of Central America, the Caribbean, and North America. So this region has around 200 million people. And in our region, we have, I've forgotten the exact number. I think it's about 4,500 international realtor members. So there's a lot of people who can help you in these regions. And that really is our goal, is to help you make those connections so that if people in say Dominican Republic have a client that needs to do business somewhere in the US, we can help them connect, and vice versa. If you have clients that are looking to do business in any of our countries, whether it's Barbados, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, any of these countries, we want to help make that happen. So we are lucky to have these people with us today. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves briefly. I think we will probably just let them do it one at a time as they do their presentation. But just kind of to let you know, we have Jaya here from Barbados, and we have Indira from Dominican Republic, and we have Gabby. Oh, there's Gabby. I thought Gabby had disappeared on me, from Jamaica. And Ed Eakin is one of our global ambassadors. His region is Barbados, Bahamas, and Belize. And he also does a lot of work in Central America, and in particular with Honduras and Roatan. And so he is also going to share a little bit about his experience, and maybe particularly Roatan. So I hope that this group is that you'll enjoy them and get a lot out of it. There's a lot of very good professionals here from around the world. And so why don't we start off? Gabby, do you want to start?
Sure, David, no problem. All right, so my name is Gabrielle Grant Gilpin Hudson. I am the Vice President of the Realtors Association of Jamaica and an attorney at law with just under 10 years of experience in the Jamaican real estate market. So today I thought that because we have such a broad topic to cover, I'd kind of give an overview of Jamaica, what our commercial real estate situation is like, as well as why Jamaica is an attractive place to consider introducing to your clients for investments, particularly in the real estate sector. All right, so Jamaica has a population of approximately just under 3 million people, and that does not include our diaspora population of about 2 million people, and our annual tourist arrivals, which in 2022 was at just about 2 million persons. So tourism is our largest commercial real estate segment in Jamaica, with, for example, our largest MLS listing being a resort property at about $12 million US. So Jamaica has a lot of plans, particularly in tourism. By 2025, we're hoping to have 5 million persons a year coming to Jamaica, and we're hoping that the industry will then be at $5 billion US a year. So tourism by far is the largest contributor to Jamaica's economy and is the most robust commercial real estate segment at the moment. Jamaica's strategic geographical location also contributes to it being an attractive location for commercial enterprises, because we are just below the United States and Cuba. We're pretty close to the Panama Canal, and we have the seventh largest natural harbor in the world. So we have quite a robust shipping and logistics industry. And recently the government just announced that we will be having a shipyard where we can actually do ship maintenance and repairs for ships that are traversing across that kind of, location. So that is the next other big emerging market. On top of all of that, Jamaica also has, I would dare to say, the most sophisticated capital markets framework in the Caribbean, which means that it is a very attractive place to raise financing and get other types of funding for businesses. So we would have the Jamaica Stock Exchange, which was ranked by Bloomberg as the best performing stock exchange in the world in 2019. And through the Jamaica Stock Exchange, you have a bond market exchange. We have a junior market exchange, which fosters special tax incentives for companies listing there, where, for example, they pay very low rates of income tax for the first 10 years of operation when they get listed. So Jamaica definitely has a very attractive framework for raising money and putting them into commercial ventures. In addition to all of that, Jamaica does not have any restrictions on the foreign ownership of real estate. So it's pretty easy for anybody, whether you're an individual or a corporation, to come into Jamaica and own and operate real estate here. And we have very friendly agencies, whether private or public, to assist with that kind of setup. And we also have a wide range of fiscal incentives available. So what are those? Basically, they're tax incentives for various sectors that make it attractive for you to come to Jamaica and set up businesses. So for example, we would have those in the tourism industry, where tourism entities coming in to set up hotels or other kind of resorts enjoy special rates of income tax, special rates of value added tax, and special rates of import duties to bring in the items that they would need to build out these facilities. We also have special incentives for manufacturing. So persons that would be engaging in the manufacturing sector, again, there are incentives as it relates to taxes and importation duties on raw materials. So we actually have a lot of international companies coming to Jamaica to set up their regional headquarters, as well as to do manufacturing. So for example, we even have Red Stripe Bear, for example, that's manufactured here. And in addition to tourism and manufacturing, we have a robust mining and we have a robust mining industry. We have a robust agricultural industry, and that agricultural industry would see us having popular Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee, which I know David enjoys whenever he comes to visit us, and citrus, poultry, and pig farming. So we're very, very big into that. Medical marijuana is also a very hot area at the moment. And recently as well, psilocybin mushrooms, because of Jamaica's treatment of it. So in Jamaica, psilocybin mushrooms are actually not a controlled substance. So we've seen a lot of activity going on there in kind of like the retreat, holistic healthcare kind of space. So lots of stuff going on in Jamaica. And pretty much we also have a incentive available for the development of our downtown waterfront. So, anywhere you go in the world, generally the waterfront downtown is the area of prime real estate. And at the moment, there are incentives available for developers looking to put in infrastructure or other kinds of development in the downtown area. So it's a very timely time to come in and consider Jamaica for investment for those reasons. I'm just trying to see here what I'm missing out. I know it's a lot of information to cram into a short time, but I'm trying to be respectful of my 5 minutes. And I think I pretty much can wrap it up there. Maybe the last thing that I would say is in terms of our legal systems, it's a registered title system. And so you have an indefeasible title. So you wouldn't really run into any issues with proving land ownership here. And we have a pretty developed and robust common law system and court system as well. So it's not that you necessarily need to be concerned about any kind of volatility or lack of protection on the legal side. We actually have very good law schools here that compete with the likes of Harvard in international mooting and that kind of thing. So to wrap it all up, I'll just say definitely consider coming to Jamaica, visiting Jamaica, and introducing it to your clients, because we have a whole lot going on and it's only going to get better. So, you want to get in while the going is good. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Gabby. And so I'm going to add just 1 or 2 thoughts on that. I started out with Jamaica, so I've been going to Jamaica now for a long time. And Jamaica is very pro having people come and invest. In fact, the times I've been there, the first time it was such a shock, but I've met when I've been down there with the Prime Minister 3 times, and the Prime Minister is very interested in trying to develop business down there. So it's a very friendly environment. Of course, before COVID, I went back after COVID just this last year, but when I went there, the whole downtown was full of cranes. I mean, it was crazy. So there's a lot of things going on in Jamaica. So thank you very much, Gabby. There may be some questions later, but in the interest of moving things along, I think we'll next move to Barbados. Jaya, are you here? I think Jaya has some slides she may share, so it may take her just a second to kind of get that organized. So if you can bear with us just a second here.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Jaya Savalani. Post-COVID, I started a real estate business in Barbados, and I'm very grateful for being able to share some knowledge on our beautiful island. Here's the presentation for today. So just to give a little bit of background on Barbados. Barbados is one of the Caribbean islands. It's known as the Gem of the Caribbean. It's the easternmost island in the Lesser Antilles. Just to look at Barbados as a glance, we have several parishes on the island. The population is approximately 285,000 people. The total area of Barbados is 431 square kilometers. And Barbados was discovered in 1536, and it became independent on 30th November, 1966. At the same time, recently in November 2021, it has become a republic country. Some of the areas which are good to invest in Barbados, I would recommend is, given post-pandemic, Barbados has become a nation on the world map. It has increased its fintech services and is moving forward to become a financial hub. It also has the largest literacy in the entire Caribbean. We've seen an increase in fintech startups, digital wallets, online lending platforms, insurance platforms, and mobile banking solutions. The tourism is the strongest sector of the market, and it is highly dependent on the tourism sector. We're also seeing a lot of Caribbean startups, new technologies and innovations. We're seeing a lot of virtual reality and augmented reality experiences being offered. The island is moving towards sustainability and providing tourism solutions in that sector too. Throughout the last few years, the island has been able to make partnerships with nations, corporations, organizations, hotels, airlines, cruise liners, and global brands, making it a very strong country in the Caribbean to invest in commercially and residentially. And it has a hybrid model. The Prime Minister has also started the Welcome Stamp program, which is introducing foreigners to be welcomed into our beautiful island. It has implemented this program. It's allowed visitors to apply, stay on the island for 12 months to experience the beautiful island, the people, and the facilities. This also helps the island because it supports the local economy, and this is great for commercial investments too. We've seen a very large growth in the agriculture area. It's also introduced medical cannabis, which is a trend in some global countries. We've also introduced cryptocurrency wallets, and Barbados is well known for, one of our national heroes, Rihanna. So it's also made ties globally to have events in Barbados. We're doing a lot of work on renewable energy and supporting solar powered resources and moving towards a smart city in the future. E-commerce is heavily predominant on the island too. And once again, the manufacturing and mining industries also grow. The movement forward is to make sure that Barbados is world-class and well-known all over the world. We're supporting climate change. There's heavy investments on sustainability, environment friendly, social and governance when making investment decisions. Anyone entering the market, even with commercial real estate projects, can ensure that the government is working towards clean energy and climate changes to support the environment and the globe. They're also regulating a lot of management programs, working with large organizations in the world, such as PAHO, WHO, and several others. The future of real estate is undeniable. We are in recession times given the pandemic, but at the same time, Barbados is going to bounce back even stronger than before. It's the largest asset class in world class for real estate, and we know that technology is making a huge input. And resilience, sustainability, and changes in consumer shift mind are most important. Barbados has realized how important customer service is and how important a customer's decision are reliable, not just on the real estate that they're purchasing and the legacy property, but also making sure that it has a wholesome support for the environment and supporting the values needed globally for clean energy and saving the environment. And we're also noticing that there's a lot of risk premiums involved and geopolitical risks will bounce back. I also want to just touch up before we end my presentation that Barbados offers a lot of tax incentives. It is partnered with several countries in the world. It offers dual treaties and there's no tax on capital gains. Foreign ownership is also very easy to do in Barbados, and the court system and the real estate system supports international investments. Given that we have a common law system, the titles are also registered, so ownership is very clear. And I welcome you all to invest in our beautiful island, and I look forward to working with everyone. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jaya. So I am going to mention a few things. If you guys have not done it, if you are on Instagram, I think who isn't on Instagram these days, but there's still some holdouts, but you should check out Barbados Tourism Instagram account. It is amazing. I mean, you really should see it. They have all kinds of pictures of the island and all kinds of pictures of their festivals and the things that are going on. And it is just beautiful. Barbados is new to the NAR family. They've been part of us for about 2 years now. And one thing that they have done is Barbados is kind of new in terms of interest from the United States too. Before COVID, most of their tourism was coming mainly from Canada and Europe. And they told me that when COVID came and people were looking for places that they could go, Barbados was still open. And so Barbados started getting a lot of attention from the US. Not that there was none before, but they got a big surge of visitors from the US. And so there are a lot of Americans now that are very interested in it and looking in that area. And they have some really attractive and Jaya mentioned some of those ways that you can stay there and live and work and you know, for special visas and things. So thank you very much, Jaya. That was fantastic. And now we're going to talk about Dominican Republic. We have Indira with us. I'll let Indira introduce herself. I met Indira maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and she is fantastic. And Dominican Republic is another one of those just magical places. So, Indira, would you like to take it from here?
Hi, hello, all. Hi. My name is Indira de Sangles from Dominican Republic, and I've been in real estate for more than 20 years. Basically 13 years in touristic high-end the market, but for the last 8 to 9 years I've been in commercial real estate based in Santo Domingo, which is the principal capital of the Dominican Republic. So I'm gonna give you a little glimpse of what's going on here. To give you more detail, I will need more than an hour, but I will try to make it in 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, hold on. Okay, so as you know, the Dominican Republic is well known of the tourist destination, from beach resorts, from golf, from marina, mountains, everything. So we've been growing a lot. And somebody talked about COVID, we never closed. So basically everybody that had a second home here, villa, condo, whatever, they just moved here and stayed and moved all year round. Even people from from Santo Domingo, they moved to Punta Cana, to Casa de Campo, to Puerto Plata. So all the second homes became first home. So that moved a lot in these touristic areas of the country. So we have more than 26 golf courses, some of them PGA approved, so international world-class golf courses on the ocean, on the cliff, on the mountains. We have different marina, yacht clubs. Fishing is very, as you know, in the Dominican Republic and with all the islands too. So this is one picture of Casa de Campo. So we have a lot and growing boutique and all-inclusive hotels. Those who are focused on hotel projects, what people do here is they buy land, they build, and they put their name. Most of them are Spanish chains like the Barceló, Meliá, and all these Spanish huge 1,000 rooms hotels with the casinos and all-inclusive. The Hard Rock Hotel is here. So everything that you see in the hotels is they purchase the land and they build and then they explode. So basically the most important areas in hotels are Puerto Plata and Punta Cana, growing a lot. We have more than 8 international airports in the country. And so also Las Terrenas in Samaná is growing too. So talking a little about residential, let's say 99% of my colleagues in Santo Domingo and in the whole country focus on residential. And basically the growth has been crazy in touristic, and all of the offices that were based in the city are now having their main offices in Punta Cana, in La Romana, and other touristic areas. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the residential individual homes. So decreasing the individual homes and growing the condos. We call them condos or apartment. So basically the prices ranges for houses are from $250,000 up to $1 million, and the condos from $150,000 to $3 million. That's in the city, that's in the touristic places. And new suburbs are growing outside the main cities, so that's growing too. Everything that's become available for sale, even when the ground hasn't break, is sold. It's sold immediately. So my colleagues that are in residential are doing very good. So affordable housing here, it's receiving a lot of help from the government. They start at $90,000 an apartment. Okay, so considering residential, more people are buying than renting, but everything that becomes available for rent, it is rented, either furnished or not furnished. The return on the investment in residential is very low. It's around the 2 to 5%. And normally the rents happen from 1 to 2 years. And we have Airbnb too, but the buildings that are Airbnb friendly are designed 100% for Airbnb or not approved by Airbnb. So the local loans are around 10% in pesos, and the pesos rate is $1 for every 55 pesos. So there's a lot of new construction. Most of the builders are local in the whole country. Okay, so industrial, this is an area that the country is focusing a lot in the free zones. So we have from warehouse, industrial park, self-storage, which is kind of new here, and free zones. If you see out of the 100% of the free zone parks here, or the industrial park, everything is occupied. So there is no speculation warehouses being built. So it's only built to suit, and even only to lease land and build to suit, not even for sale. So very low inventory. This is a sector that I'll definitely be focusing at, to buy land, to do industrial park, to get into logistics. The rent, it's around from $6 to $12 per square meter, and the rents can vary from 5 to 20 years. We have local and international developers here. Okay, so advantages of investing in DR. I'm gonna just wrap it up here. Stability, connectivity, economic growth. We have the democracy that's been very stable. Now with this going on in Latin America, this is very important. We have 8 airports. We have 5 ports. Quality of transportation, a lot of flights in and out and growing from North America, Europe, Asia, Caribbean, South America. Human resources, it's very abundant and qualified resources. The productivity is increasing. 20% of the population has good English. So we have a lot of tax exceptions, as you talked in the other islands too. And our country is positioning globally. This is in the free zone for hand-rolled cigars, electric switches, women coats, candles, footwear, medical devices, and the country is promoting itself a lot to bring more of these international clients to the Dominican Republic. So we are growing a lot in the call center industry and BPO. We have the largest players here, from Concentrics, from Teleperformance, from everybody's getting in here because of the English that I told you before, because of the advantages of time zone and convenient travel for the nearshoring, the cultural affinity with the US, moderately highly educated and young population. So a lot of BPOs and KPOs are growing. The inventory for these properties is a little low. So to having developers bring and build this type of class A or B or C buildings for these call centers will be a hot product to have here. So in the logistics services, there's a potential development for new free zones. Operators can consolidate value-added logistics. Stocks of goods can remain in logistics centers. So there's a lot of interesting things going on to bring international logistics services into the Dominican Republic. We have in the office sector, like 15 years ago, there was only one building, and it's this one, Acropolis, the city tower. And right now, if you see, there's more like 100,000 square meters between A and B plus buildings in Santo Domingo, and everything is rented, sold. Basically, there's a lot of investment funds, local and some international comings to build, develop, and then also rent. Basically, most of these buildings, the class A or B, are only for rent. The owners just keep them, and the others, there are some buildings that are designed specifically to sell. For example, we have here all the combinations A, B, and C, mixed use. The rent start from 15 to 40 US dollars per square meters, plus maintenance, plus tax. And the price to sell from $2,000 to $4,000 per square meters. So maintenance from 4 to 11 US per square meters. So the leases are from 5 to 10 years, whole buildings, whole floors, capex not included. Tenant improvements and tenant allowances just starting. It's just new for us to give this to the renters. So we're talking about the return on investment on 6 to 20%. So retail, there's plaza, small plaza, standalones, commercial strip center. So mostly for rent. We have all the brands of the restaurants like burgers, pizza, chicken, all the banks, drugstores. There's a lot of growing in that sector. A lot of new plazas. Basically, a few years ago, there was a huge amount of people coming from Venezuela, and a lot of Venezuelans are the owners of these type of projects in corporative and hotels and retail. But now, within the last year, thanks to what's going on in Colombia, then we're receiving a lot of Colombian investors here. So basically, there's a mix of European, Asian coming, a lot of Chinese coming, in all the sectors. So this is what I am. Dominican Republic has it all. So there's a lot of opportunities. There's a few commercial brokers here. None of international companies are right now in the Dominican Republic, but I know that all of them are coming. I've talked to all of them. So feel free to contact me for more information on commercial real estate on the Dominican Republic. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Indira. A couple of other things. If you've never been to Dominican Republic before, it is magical. And I'll also say that just a few things. The population of Dominican Republic is I don't know exactly, but it's between 10 and 11 million people. It was much bigger than I thought it was. And you saw the pictures of Santo Domingo. It is incredible to see that. But Punta Cana, I mean, it's just magical, and the people are wonderful there. So you know, hats off to Dominican Republic. It's a wonderful place. And and one other note I thought I'd mention, for I think most people, if you've done much with international, you're familiar with this, but if you're not, a square meter is about 10 square feet. It's very, very close to 10 square feet. So if you're trying to do those calculations in your head, divide by 10, and then you'll have an idea of how that compares to US real estate. And I think that's it for now. Thank you very much, Indira. And now we'll switch to my friend Ed. And Ed is going to talk to us, I think primarily, I'll let Ed tell you, but I think he's probably going to talk primarily about Roatan, but Ed has been all over, so he may talk about a lot of things. So Ed, would you like to unmute and introduce yourself and take it away?
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Teresa, for inviting me today. Yes, I've been all over the place. And this year, I was just appointed as a global ambassador for NAR, which, man, that gives me the ability to share everything about being a realtor and all the benefits that being a realtor, you know, has, and what we can offer from NAR to our international realtor members. So I'm just getting started in that and having fun because everybody in all the countries that I have, which are Barbados, Belize, Tobago, and Trinidad, everybody is wanting more information, and which is really cool. They want to know how we do it here in the States. They want to know our processes. So that's really pretty cool. And also part of the deal is making connections. Everybody wants connections because there are a lot of people from the US going to all these countries in the Caribbean, and they need to know who they can talk to. They need to know who they can ask questions to. So for me to be able to do that, it's a lot of fun. You know, when I look at all the countries in the Caribbean, I think during the COVID, man, they've all gotten more popular. People realize that they can do business outside the US, and a lot of people here in the US never have to go back to their offices. So, you know, when I travel to Mexico, Costa Rica, Belize, wherever, seems like there's a lot more Americans there that went to go on a vacation, but now they've decided to live there. So, you know, that's, you know, they're taking business there. And we've all heard the word digital nomad, and they can do business anywhere in the Caribbean as long as there's good internet. And that's a question that's often asked by me. Do they have good internet? And if they have good internet, they can do that. And when I travel these countries, man, I'm seeing more cranes, more residential going up, more commercial stuff going up, more cranes, more hotels, more of everything, more big developments going in. There's some cool stuff going on in the Riviera Maya right now, particularly with the Mayan train that will start in, let's say, Merida and go down to Cancun, to Tulum, to Playa, or I'm sorry, from Tulum to Mahawa, to Bacalar, and circle back to Campeche. And that's all going to be complete, they say, by the end of 2023. So there's a lot of big corporations going in because they know the train's coming and what it's going to bring. And the tourism in that area, and let's say 2021 was in the mid 20 millions that arrived at Cancun. And then you fast forward to 2023, and it was mid 30 millions people that visited. So a lot of activity going down there. I wanted to talk, like Dave said, I wanted to share a little bit about Roatan, and that's an island in Honduras, and it's a part of a series of 3 islands off the coast of Honduras. And there's something going on there commercial-wise that I had never heard of until recently. And it's an opportunity for an autonomous zone. Okay, and an autonomous zone is something new, and it's I think modeled after what we've seen in Dubai and all the excitement in Dubai. And I'm going to read just a quick paragraph to explain it. And it has to do with the company Prospera and what they've created. And it says Prospera Zed, a zone of development and employment, is a special jurisdiction developed in partnership with the Honduras Prospera Incorporated and the Honduran government, designed to catalyze prosperity, innovation, and create one of the most business-friendly jurisdictions in the world. This jurisdiction was made possible by Article 329 Honduran Constitution and the Zed Organic Law, and is protected by numerous international treaties and legal stability agreements. So this is something new, and we're already seeing a bunch of startup companies, a bunch of manufacturing companies come into this zone and placing their corporation there. So, and why do they do it? There's a ton of tax benefits to do it. There's a ton of opportunities for their employees to come and get better benefits, okay, get better retirement opportunities. So, we expect to see, this autonomous zone really take off here and then go to other places and be duplicated in other countries. And I think that's about all I have for the Caribbean and what I see. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ed. So I will say, one, I want to take a second before I forget. Some of the people have done it, but can all of the presenters please take a second and put your contact information in the chat so that people can have that. And two, just in summary, I would like to say there's all kinds of global trends going on in the world today. And I'm very positive and bullish about my region in particular, North America, Latin America, the Caribbean. I think all of them are going to benefit from the things that are going on long term in the world. I think business is going to continue to grow in this area significantly. One of the big trends going on right now commercially is the United States is bringing home their supply chains. They want their manufacturing much closer than what it has been, and so that's unfortunately for Asia, kind of a loss to Asia, but it's a big boon for people in our area, and we're seeing that happen throughout Latin America, throughout the Caribbean. I think we're going to see a lot of that, and these are amazing countries, and the people who are with us today, these are very what's the word I'm searching for? Very professional, very well educated, very prolific people who you can trust. And so please reach out to them if you want more information. And I think that I'm going to wrap it up there, turn it over to Teresa so that hopefully we'll have a little time for questions. Teresa, do you want to take over?
Great. Thank you very much, David. Amazing presentations by everyone. If everyone can please put your contact information in the chat so that could be downloaded in addition to the presenters. And raise your hand if you have questions. And in the meantime, I will ask the first question of everyone who presented today. If you had $100, how would you allocate your investment in your country in real estate or capital markets? I know where I'd be investing it in the Chicagoland area.
I'm gonna maybe, even though I'm not in one of the countries, I may respond to that a little bit. One thing that's sort of exploding kind of throughout this obviously tourism is one of the primary motivators for this entire region. And so when you go there, for instance, and maybe Gabby can chat on this a little bit more, but something like 60% of the development in Jamaica is Airbnb. I mean, it's crazy. And you know, when you go there, and Airbnb, when they started Airbnb in Jamaica, there was a lot of concerns about it. And I'm not going to claim that there shouldn't be any concerns, but they weren't sure. They were afraid that it might really hurt their market for tourism, investment, residential. And I would say on the whole, it's been very positive. In fact, one of the things that was a surprise that happened there, there's a small town where Bob Marley spent part of his childhood. And Gabby, you're going to have to correct me, make sure I get this right. I believe it's called Trenchtown. And it was a very high crime area, and there was not much going on there. And when they opened Airbnbs, people started building Airbnbs in Trenchtown. Nobody in Jamaica expected that because it was a high crime area. They didn't think tourists would want to go there. And it like transformed that area all at once. All these people started coming to visit Trenchtown. And then these other people started opening little cafes and little shops and tourist areas. And it went from one of the highest crime areas in Jamaica to almost no reported crime. So Gabby, you have to be my fact checker on this. Are you there? Can you?
Yeah, you're correct, David. That's definitely on point. And I think if anything, Airbnb has just served to kind of add to the tourism product here, because we have, you know, your all-inclusives, we have EP plan, you know, we have luxury, we have, you know, backpacking tourism. So I think it's a proof of concept that if you localize tourism, it can help a lot with social intervention and, you know, the upliftment of these smaller towns, especially because there's so much experiences and culture that, you know, Airbnb does well to kind of incorporate, because it's more of an immersive experience as opposed to, you know, going to a fancy resort and staying there for the duration of your time, which is fine. But, you know, it just kind of broadens the offerings that we have, for sure.
Thank you, Gabby.
Indira, do you have thoughts?
Well, the residential market is booming more than commercial in the Dominican Republic. So definitely touristic or in the city, everything gets sold, rented, and occupied. A little slower with commercial, but I will put my money in residential.
Ed, you're representing multiple developers. Where are you putting your money?
You know, it all depends on what my customers like, but I put my money in Tulum. It's one of the most Instagrammable cities in the world. It's on the top of Airbnb's list of most desirable or most requested destinations in the world. And currently it's one of the fastest growing cities in the world. And with the new Mayan train arriving there at the end of 2023 and brand new international airport that's supposed to be done by by 2024. I just think that's a really, really nice investment.
I do notice, and I don't know if he's totally paying attention, but another developer is on here, and it wasn't part of the presentation series, but Mike Cobb is on here, and he has multiple developments between Belize, Nicaragua, and throughout Latin America. And just like Ed kind of offers out, and he can talk about this more in the needs and wants section, but having this opportunity to visit with some of these developers, whether it be in Mexico or Roatan, and this is the big hint, I'm going somewhere where I just said next week to go see one of these real estate developments. And then with Mike Cobb, who's on, I've been to some of his locations as well, including Nicaragua. So we're looking to do the same thing maybe later this year, whether it be Nicaragua or Belize or something. So it's definitely a good idea to be in touch with some of the panelists, Ed, Mike, myself, and if you want introductions, I'm sure we would be happy to make them so that if you wanted the opportunity, whether it's for yourself or for your clients, there's a lot of great real estate opportunities in both the Caribbean and Latin America. Does anyone else have any commentary from the panelists about, you know, where they're investing their money, where they think there's opportunity? Because I'm going to say, like, where I'm in Chicago, you know, a lot of times Chicago and Illinois has a self-esteem issue with the media, and where, you know, we get a lot of negative media. They're like, oh, the shootings or this or that, you know, and I'm not experiencing that. And There's a reason that Amazon has been investing in Chicago. We are a logistics hub. We're 1 day away from 50% of the US population and 2 days away from 80%. And so investing in warehouse, the way we only have 2% vacancy, or multifamily because we have workforce housing, that people have to live. So it's always a good idea when customers come to you to say, hey, what's the market look like? Well, the answer is depends, right? Are you a buyer? Are you a seller? How are you thinking about it? So is there any other comment in terms of where you're at and how you're investing, or where you think the opportunities are?
I feel like someone who's been asked to say who's their favorite child.
But within your own country, like you could say from your own city, you'd say, hey, this is where I think I would be investing my money within my country, right? Or within my city.
Yeah, for people, I mean, if you were looking at Louisville, Kentucky, we're also a logistics hub, and so like UPS has their world headquarters for the World Port is based out of Louisville. Their actual corporate headquarters, I think, is in Atlanta, but their logistics headquarters is here in Louisville. And that's the thing right now is the industrial properties. Industrial properties in the last couple of years, I'm sure you guys have probably seen this in your markets too. They're getting more per square foot than office properties, and the build out for them is much less expensive. And so there is almost no industrial space available. I mean, it is nearly impossible to get. So, and I would say that for a while, it's going to continue that trend. I think office properties are really, they've been down anyway, but now we're starting to see some defaults on some of these properties from the work from home and those kinds of issues that have been happening. And retail has been rebounding, but it's not really to the levels it was a while ago. Industrial is probably far and away and land, those two things are probably far and away the highest performers in commercial real estate, at least in my area.
And so anyone who's taken a CIPS class, which a lot of brokers here do because they're doing international, we talk about, the processes when you're purchasing inbound or outbound. So for each of the panelists, one of the questions that was asked is, one, do any of the countries offer golden visas? And two, obviously you're there to help facilitate the real estate transaction, but coming in, whether we're an investor or we want to move there, what is going to be the biggest challenge in purchasing real estate there as a foreigner?
I would say one of the biggest challenges is financing, because as a foreigner going and buying in Belize and Mexico and all these other countries, for the most part, it's all cash. And we are starting to see some opportunities for financing, but that to me is probably the biggest thing for my clients.
I would say if that's an issue for you, you should meet Michael Cobb. Michael may hopefully he'll put his contact information here, but Michael is not only a developer, but he has works with some financial institutions that help provide some financing opportunities for people who are looking in these areas. I'm not promising that he can help with every single person, but
every country,
but you might check with Michael Cobb.
I could tell you, I was doing a presentation here in Houston yesterday, and a pretty young lady came up and said, "Hey, do you know Michael Cobb?"
Well, hey, introduce me to her, Ed. No, just kidding.
Said, that's my older brother.
When we hear that, there's always a pause because we don't want to get them in trouble. It's like, why do you need to know?
Indira, did you have a comment? I saw you raise your hand. Did you have a comment?
Yes, that as a foreigner to purchase properties here, I will say that the past years, long time ago, you used to come to the DR with a bucket of money and it's okay, you buy everywhere like in any other country. But we've been very North Americanized in this because of the money laundering situation, the narco. So everything that you either buy or rent or you're whatever, you need to proof funds that they come from wherever they need to be from. Not as easy as it was 30, 20 years ago. So that will be the challenge to get financing and buy stuff of
That's a fantastic point. Thank you, Indira. That's going to be true in, I won't say all, but probably most of the countries in this region. Is, there has been a problem with money laundering, kind of, it's a worldwide problem, but especially in these areas. And so many of these countries have laws to try to control money laundering. And so that's going to be an issue in all of these areas. And I know it's also an issue like in Florida and in New York and some of the large port cities in the United States. And I see, Teresa, I'm sorry, I took over, but I see that Jaya had her hand up. Jaya, do you want to add something?
Yes, I'd just like to let everyone know that Barbados has, as mentioned in my presentation, is becoming a financial hub. So we are offering financing for international clients. There are banks in Barbados that have already started doing that. It's working out great for residential and commercial projects. So that's something where we will be willing to and able to introduce clients to loan officers and banks. So I just wanted to everyone. And we also have the money laundering laws in place where everything has to go through the central bank. So again, Invest Barbados is a group in Barbados that works with world-class organizations, and we're able to support persons with this matter.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And so one other thing, that even if you do get like financing in some of these areas, you should know, I mean, it would be really good to talk to some of these professionals, because they know what's available and the options. But the laws are often different. They're not quite like the ones we have here. So, I don't know how many years ago, the US used to be like this, but it's not anymore. Generally, some of these countries, I'll let these guys speak to their countries, but some of these countries, if you're beyond a certain age, like if you want to take out a 30-year mortgage, they want to have a pretty good idea you're going to be alive in 30 years. In the US, it's kind of like, well, it can get settled in your estate if I mean, it's not a big deal. We can do it anyway. But in some of these other countries, it's like, oh, wait a minute, you're like in your 80s. You're not going to be alive in 30 years. And so you can't get a loan. So there's different rules, different regulations. It's very important. That's one of the reasons it's so important to work with these people in their countries, is because these are the guys who are the experts. They're the ones who know their laws. They're the ones who know their financing. Sometimes we've had a problem with people trying to go into countries where they're not licensed, where they're not citizens, trying to run deals. Do not do that. Not only is it a bad idea, it is very likely illegal. Do not do that. That's why we have these people, and you can work with them and you can take care of yourselves or your clients while you're doing that. So
that's exactly right. And that's why we do these webinars, is because a lot of us are working with professionals all over the world, and we can't be everywhere. We can't know about laws in every single country or practices. And so it's nice to have partnerships for, especially when you're in the commercial world and you have global companies that are looking to, whether it's investing for themselves or for just a return, you are making the connections within these groups, showing up to the webinar, showing up to the different conferences. And so coming up next month is MIPIM. I'm hoping that those of you who can make, it's a great opportunity to network with other commercial practitioners. We will be having C5 happening in Atlanta this year in September. And then of course we have our NAR events. If you are participating on a regular basis in these commercial global business network meetings, et cetera, we do try to advertise your big events. If you're doing some kind of trade mission or expo of some kind in your country, we would love to highlight that. We will take the slides from the presentations and make that available through our Commercial Global Business Network page, as well as have this recorded session there. If in the future you can think of commercial practitioners that can talk about good information that you think other business professionals in the real estate world can benefit from, we would love to host them. Like I said, we've had developers from, well, like Mike Cobb, he's a developer from Latin America. He was on. We've had architects from Africa. We had economic professors from South Africa. So we've been very fortunate to bring not just brokers, but people who bring information to us in other ways. With that, we are going to end the recording, but we welcome everyone to stay afterwards when we have a commercial needs and wants. So everyone can introduce themselves, not just the panelists, but participants, and say, hey, I've got these listings, or I have clients looking for this. And if you didn't have anything inventory or specific client needs, share something fun. Like that next week I'm going to Roatan. So, and that was thanks to Ed. He put it out there, said, hey, who's interested in doing this? I said, yes, I am. He asked me when I was at the NAR conference, and he says, all right, put it on. He signed me up as a global ambassador. So watch out. I'll put it on YouTube and TikTok. I'm new to TikTok, but I heard they get a lot of views. So don't blast me too much, because I'm just figuring this out. Just a real quick funny story. My 12-year-old said, Mom, you do lazy TikToking. It's not great. Da, da, da. And I said, do you want to be my social media manager as a 12-year-old? Because you can go ahead and do this. And he goes, well, I could help you. I don't want to make you too up to date, but you need to use more professional words like yo. So I might put a yo in one of my TikToks. So thank you everyone for sticking around. Thank you to our presenters giving their time and sharing their knowledge. We appreciate the regular participation in the Commercial Global Business Network. And please remember to save the chat so you can reach out to everyone who attended today. Thank you.